I'd like to introduce Charlie Island from Island Tree Experts and a board member of the Connecticut Tree Protective Association. Charlie's been in the tree industry for about 30 years and we've worked together now for about 15 of those. Charlie's going to discuss high-risk trees and what to look for and how to deal with these in the municipal atmosphere. Charlie?
Yeah, when working with towns, it is important to periodically assess potential high-risk trees. It's important to get a good look at the tree and identify potential problems. At first glance, this tree may appear sound, but it's clearly hollow. The stem, you can see there's a lot of animal activity in the tree, and there is some evidence of some storm damage at the top from years back that has started to decay down the stem, weakening the lateral limbs. This area is not a particularly high traffic area, so the target area is somewhat low, so it might not have all that high of a risk factor. However, this area is used a lot by employees at the town hall here, and the tree warden felt that it does pose some risk, so I think it's scheduled to come down relatively soon. But it is important when assessing tree risk to get out and really take a good look at the entire site. A basic knowledge of this site is also important due to the fact that trees the portion of the tree that is below ground is often neglected. People don't think about that, but if there is recent construction in the area, some of the roots may have been severely damaged, if not entirely destroyed. It could have been trenching that severed the roots. There could be serious decay in some of the main structural roots, which could compromise the anchorage capacity of the tree. It could just topple over. You see that a lot when new sidewalks are installed and a storm comes along and the trees fall over. It happens all the time. Unfortunately, sidewalk contractors, that's their specialty. They don't consider the tree in the process. Improper tree maintenance can also lead to premature tree failure by taking out too much of the tree at one time, causing the tree to react by sprouting a lot, and those sprouts don't form strong unions with the main stem and can break off and fall on infrastructure, public rights of way. There are a lot of things like that you need to consider. Overall tree health is one of the first things that I do when assessing the risk factor in a tree. I try to look at a tree in the summer months to see if there is noticeable decline in the canopy. Stand back, look at the overall vigor of the tree. Things like other structural things. Personally, I feel the most dangerous thing are cracks. If you see large vertical cracks, that's a red flag right away. Decay in trees can take many forms. Hollow trees are not always high-risk trees. A tree can be completely hollow in the center and still be quite strong. The cavities are much more important. If you have a longer cavity, the longer the cavity is on the stem, the greater the risk. So I really think that sometimes trees are prematurely judged as high-risk trees when they may not be quite a greater risk. Of course, the greatest factor in determining risk is the target area. So if you have a kid's swing set right underneath the tree, even a small defect can be a very, very big issue. So a lot of it has to do with common sense, but a basic knowledge of tree physiology is important as well, and general knowledge of the site. Like I said, soil conditions, things like that. A basic knowledge of fungal growth is important also, because if you see a lot of mushrooms growing along the stem or along the soil, some of those mushrooms may be beneficial. They may not be a big issue, but most mushrooms growing on stem wood can be an indicator that there's some serious decay going on and may need further investigation. Carpenter ant activity. If you see a lot of frass at the bottom of a tree, you know carpenter ants are working at the tree. The carpenter ants themselves don't harm the tree, but they're an indicator that there's some decay presently going on within the tree. These are all little tools that we have in our arsenal. We also use We also use instruments, things as simple as a rubber mallet to sound the tree. Hit the tree with the mallet and you can tell through experience what it should sound like, a solid tree versus a tree with decay. Then we have more advanced equipment like a resistograph machine that actually measures the density of the wood by drilling into the tree and measuring the resistance that it takes to drill into the tree. And you could actually map out the size of a pocket of decay and map out the barrier zone that the tree is set up to wall off that decay. These are all things that we use, but a lot of it comes down to some common sense, but public input is usually the driving force. If people are more risk averse to a tree in a certain area, they can pressure town officials to take it down, and sometimes they take it down a little bit sooner than it should be. It's a difficult position for tree wardens to be in at times because they're constantly striking that balance between addressing issues of public safety and trying to preserve trees. It's a delicate balance that it's become a real issue in the past few years, given the severe weather events we've had over the past 2 or 3 years. So having a professional give an opinion on a tree can really may save a tree from prematurely being removed, or may be able to identify a potentially serious risk and have it addressed more quickly. So these are some of my thoughts on hazard trees.